Truthfully, I really struggled to find my feet after I qualified. And within 6 months of qualifying as a hygienist, all these dreams and aspirations I had, I wanted to throw it all in. I was tired, I was unsupported. This wasn't the dream that I had dreamt of.
Hello and welcome to In the Chair with a series of dental protection podcasts. My name is Lesley Harrison. I'm a dentist and a dental legal consultant here at Dental Protection. I'm hosting a series of short podcasts where I'll be interviewing dentists, DCPs and other industry figures of interest within the dental community. I'll be talking to my guests on their career, their inspirations, their aspirations. I want to know what makes them tick. I am absolutely delighted today to speak with Anna Middleton, who is an award-winning dental hygienist and therapist, and who's also the name and inspiration behind the London Hygienist brand. Anna, it's so lovely to have you here today. Welcome.
Thank you so much.
So, going back to the beginning, you didn't start your career in dentistry, did you?
No, I actually first qualified in sound engineering and music technology. I worked for an arts company afterwards for a long time, as well as working in a bar and a restaurant. And it was actually when the credit crunch hit that all of a sudden I lost all my jobs and decided I needed to go on a new career path.
So you then retrained as a dental nurse in 2008 and you subsequently qualified from the Eastman as a dental hygienist in 2015. And then you qualified as a therapist in 2021 from the University of Essex. Quite a change in direction, isn't it?
Yes, very, very different. It was actually a strong desire to want to study again. And my friend was a dental nurse and she said, oh, why don't you become a dental nurse? I thought, yeah, why not? Let's try my hand at this. I wanted a career and not just a job anymore. I wasn't the best at sound engineering and music anyway, so it felt like it was time to try my hand at something else. And at that time I was living in Exeter and the job market was quite small. I applied for 2 trainee dental nurse positions and came second in both of them, but not one to be disheartened. I found a training course. So if I could just get 18 hours work experience a week, I could do the course. So I printed out my CV and I walked to every single dental practice in Exeter with my dog while reading the dental nurse handbook. And eventually I did. I got a float nurse position covering the whole of Devon. And that's how the sort of dental journey began. And then it was training with the hygienist. That's where I spent my first days learning about cross-infection, learning how to chart, how to hold the suction. Anytime we had a gap, she'd show me how to mix certain alginate or GI, and it was her. She became my inspiration. Her name's Pauline. She's still practicing, and everything I did from that moment forward was to get into university. I didn't actually have the grades to get in, so it was anything I could do to bolster my CV, which even included doing my radiography as soon as I finished as a dental nurse. And yeah, then I finally got into university.
Oh, brilliant. So all your hard work paid off and it sounds like you put a lot of effort in. And your dog as well.
Yeah, he got his steps in.
After that, you bought the domain and the brand of the London Hygienist in 2017. So tell me about this. What made you do it?
So actually, it was an idea that I had way before that. It was 2013. That's when I started at the Eastman, and happened to be the same year that direct access came into play. And again, something I didn't actually know about until I went to uni. And it sort of got me thinking. I thought, oh, well, this is going to be something one day. So I did a little bit of market research. I Googled London Hygienist and nothing was available. So I bought the .com, .co.uk, swiped up all the social media handles, and then the aim was to just qualify and get a job and get some experience. And truthfully, I really struggled to find my feet after I qualified. And within 6 months of qualifying as a hygienist, all these dreams and aspirations I had, I wanted to throw it all in. I was tired, I was unsupported. This wasn't the dream that I had dreamt of. Sort of stuck at it and with it. And then after a particularly unpleasant working sort of relationship and experience, I just decided, look, I can't give up on this now. And I thought, right, let's make London Hygienist work. Let's do something with this. So yeah, officially from sort of 2017, the brand and the business took off. I registered as a company. I trademarked my logo, and then I just went on a rampage trying to get the name out there.
But it sounds like that must have been really quite difficult when things didn't go quite as expected when you first started off, and then you sort of, it picked up pace, and then you sort of found your direction. So have you got a mission statement for your brand?
For London Hygienist, yes, the mission is to change the way that oral health care is delivered to the public and improve access to dental services. One thing I learned early on is when people say that, oh, it's, the fear of pain, the lack of control, these are huge barriers.
Yeah.
And gum disease and dental decay are entirely preventable and even reversible in their early stages. So I really wanted to work on an offering that helped to sort of minimize pain and discomfort, but also provide patients with, treatment that was comfortable and even enjoyable to help them maintain their oral health and want to invest in prophylaxis treatments.
And I think this also clearly ties in with sort of direct access, which, as you say, came in 2013. So how do you think that this has improved the access to dental services and the dental care that, we can offer our patients?
I think myself and along with the rest of the sort of profession, we've worked really hard to actually help educate the public within what our role is and what we can actually do, and trying to drive home that message of like early detection over late intervention, and that you can see a hygienist and therapist and we can help then triage. For me, I saw a huge spike sort of in business during COVID and lockdown, not only helping patients remotely because they found my sort of social media or my website and were asking questions and I could help them from home, but also they couldn't get into their practices, weren't able to. And then there was a gateway for them to finally be able to get in to see someone and help get the treatment or at least a diagnosis. And it also sort of tied hand in hand with me doing therapy. It's as if I shook a crystal ball in advance, because I obviously started my dental therapy course before COVID and lockdown happened. But the whole point of me doing that was to help grow London Hygienist and move away from just my hygienist scope of practice, but into a therapist scope to, again, keep improving the patient's access and what they get in that appointment with me.
Yeah, and I think also it's brilliant, isn't it? Because it utilises the abilities of all members of the dental team so much more, and it allows everyone to play to their strengths. And because it's been around now for, over 10 years, as we know, patients are now much more aware that direct access exists and they can get appointments directly with the hygienist or the therapist, and they're much more open to it. I think if you'd said it to patients maybe even like 5 years ago, or what about direct access, they wouldn't have been quite as convinced. But I think now there's a change in direction, isn't there? And I think it also allows to have much more collaboration between all the members of the team. You can share ideas. And I think both patients and your members of the team, your colleagues, will all benefit as a result.
And that's really important for me. So we say direct access. I'm not sat on my own in a room without a team around me. I work with amazing dental nurses who help me with everything from the photographs and the scanning to helping me, give oral hygiene instructions to the patients. And I work in a multidisciplinary space because I believe in the shared care. I want to know that if a patient comes in, as soon as something falls outside of my scope of practice, or the patient needs something more than I can deliver, I can actually go next door and bring that team member in to introduce them to them.
Yeah.
So it's really important still that is part of it. But I feel for me, direct access, I've been the doorway for the patient. And then once they're through, that's when, sort of whether it's clinical needs or whether it's aesthetic needs that a patient wants, that service is then available to them.
Yeah, and I think it's just much more of a team approach, isn't it? And I say, you're right, patients might come and see you because they might have a fear of actually seeing the dentist per se, but then they've seen you and they think, actually, this isn't quite so bad, and they're within the practice, and it's just a much more supportive environment, isn't it?
And that's what I've always said. I think when you give patients the time, then it builds trust, and in return that builds loyalty. And these patients were ones that, for example, hadn't been in years and now come religiously and probably more frequently than they would have done before, because they see the sort of investment in looking after their oral health.
And also they see that dentistry has changed over the years. It's not quite as it was maybe when they first when they were younger. Things have changed and we're moving with the times, and it's a different approach now, isn't it, I suppose? So I think it's clear from what you said that you are really, really passionate about your job as a hygienist and therapist. So is there something, what's the thing that you most enjoy about your job?
I like that no 2 days are the same for me. And I'm very fortunate that, yes, I have my clinical work, but it's not just all in one clinic. And on top of that, I've got amazing opportunities within the industry, whether it's teaching and educating or even featuring on, a podcast. I've had some amazing moments. And I think one thing I really love is I'm curious and I love to learn. So working with people is an amazing gateway to that. I've got patients with amazing jobs or very interesting backgrounds, and I've forged some, not only just like my patients, but professional relationships, even friendships. I've seen patients get married, have babies, like all those things, and it's really nice that you go on a journey, and also that my patients are so invested in what I'm doing as well. Like they really care about the other things that I do outside of clinic and how they can help support me as a professional and an individual.
You've just mentioned that you've got a role as like an educator, so not only just in sort of oral health, but about helping other dental professionals achieve more in their career and to get a better work-life balance. So tell me about this, because I understand you've got part of your role is Thrive, is that right?
So I've always had an open door policy. If people want to come, learn, shadow, talk, it's something I didn't really feel that I had a lot of when I qualified. So if I can pay it forward, I always will. Other hygienists and therapists were coming to me and they were saying, how did you do it? How did you build this? How did you get into this? How did all these opportunities come? What can I do? So I put together a course called Thrive, and it's essentially the sort of the steps that I took, because I don't have any experience in business or a background in it. I just spent hundreds and probably thousands of hours reading blogs, watching YouTube videos, and going to courses that had nothing to do with dentistry, so I could help do this myself. I didn't have, a budget. Every single penny I made within my business went back into the business. So Thrive looks at finding your purpose and motivation, because without that, you don't have the foundations to move forward. And then it looked at things like branding, marketing, PR, social media, direct access, workflow, and most importantly, life flow, because that is the thing where we fall down, and that's where we then get burnt out, worn out, and fed up.
No, absolutely. And I think one thing we're much more now aware about is how important our well-being is and the need to look after ourselves to avoid burnout, isn't it? So have you got any more advice for people listening to this?
So I've definitely been hit with burnout on multiple occasions. And the worst thing is that it catches you when it's too late.
Yeah.
So I think spotting ways in which to minimize that have helped me. So being as organized as possible, which for me, I've got 1,000,001 ideas and 1,000,001 things going on. So I actually still write everything down, and I try and do it even by the hour.
So do I. I have a to-do list every single day.
Yeah, and I love crossing it off. I'm a pen and paper girl. Even little things like just making your own packed lunch and taking it to work, because often there are going to be times when you do run late or you can't get out of the building. So I think being able to have, your comforts and things that you need there with you. The power of no.
Yeah.
For a long time, I was a people pleaser, and I wanted to take everything on, and actually came to a point where I was like, oh, I can't do all of this. I think there's something to be said for asking for help and also delegating.
And I think saying no is quite liberating, isn't it, as well? You think, actually, I don't have to do this. They may have asked me, but I don't have to. I have a choice.
And I think it's really hard, but once you start doing it and people just turn around and go, oh, okay, no worries, you're like, oh, that's okay.
Well, because I think you expect the worst, don't you? You think, if I say no, what's going to happen? But actually, nothing really happens. They just accept that you're busy, or it's not something that you want to do.
Yeah, and I think also it's, what do you do when you do have a problem? That is where we often freeze up as well. I've been a dental protection member since I was at university, and I, particularly with starting this business and working direct access, it's not come without its problems. So, being able to know that you've got things in place for when there are sort of problems, worries. And also it's not just about, oh, someone's made a complaint, what do I do? It's also, dental protection has been there to help as well with other things such as well-being and access to resources that really have helped me along the way. And there's obviously a whole host of them out there. But I think often sometimes when we're in the sort of trenches, we we lose sight of how to look for or ask for someone to help us along the way.
No, absolutely. And I think because dentistry is or can be very stressful at times, and so is life. And, we've all got challenging patients. And then you throw into the mix a complaint or a GDC case, and things just seem too much, don't they? And I think you're absolutely right. Reaching out for help and support is absolutely crucial. And we have a counselling service, which is the added benefit to all members, and it's brilliant. And I think people are much more open now to asking for help. I think there used to be such a stigma, didn't there, previously, and just you felt it was a sign of weakness if you said I can't cope. But I think it is just so important now, isn't it? Nobody has a perfect life. It may be portrayed on social media that it's a perfect life, but actually it's not, is it? I think everyone has got stuff to deal with and stuff going on, but we're just too good at being critical about ourselves, aren't we?
And I think also remember, for example, someone like myself, I'm a dental professional running a business. Yes, I share snippets and segments of my life with my patients and my followers, but it is a dental page at the end of the day. I'm not there to pour my heart out about the things that are going on behind closed doors. And often, there's a time when you're spinning a lot of plates and eventually some of them are going to start falling and cracking. And that is, again, something probably some of us don't choose to speak about, but it doesn't mean that it's not happening.
No, absolutely. And I think, you're right. I mean, talking and sharing things, whether it's in a work scenario, asking colleagues for advice or support, or just reaching out when you think that things are getting too much. Just moving on, I mean, is there anything that you wish you'd known when you started working in the dental world? Is there any advice that you'd give to prospective or currently practicing dental professionals?
Definitely, anyone starting out, do not rush to fill your week up with work. It is exhausting. Go into a place where you're going to be supported, that as and when you need help and mentoring, that's still going to be there for you. I'm 10 years in and I still go next door and ask the dentist to look at the x-rays or come and have a look at something. I think we're forever learning and evolving. So being in a space where you are able to do that, I'm a big believer in the whole team working for joint fulfillment and success. So being able to work in a place where, one of my places I go and I go, I've got an idea, let's do this, or have we thought about this? My boss loves it. She's like, Anna, let's run with it. You want to be in a place where people value you no matter where you are in the sort of order of things within the surgery. And I think just time, look after your body, your back, your neck. You need to invest in these, look after your eyes, all those things. I've had problems with them over, the last 10 years. And, we're self-employed. You don't go to work, you don't get paid. So you look after yourself and you don't want to be living with chronic pain and fatigue and issues. That's where the burnout really does start to creep in.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think you're right. It's talk to colleagues. Hopefully you work in a supportive practice. It's utilize those people that in your team, ask them for help, ask them for advice, just bounce ideas off, and it makes a massive difference. So you've been in dentistry in your career for 10 years or so, but you've clearly achieved so much already. But what professional achievement are you most proud of so far?
I think I'm just proud that I saw a gap in the market for this idea, and that not only have I enjoyed personal success, it's really helped others enjoy similar experiences. It's been beautiful seeing my name in newspapers and magazines, and to be recognized within the industry and amongst peers. But it's been amazing to watch my friends who had similar experiences, say, for example, wanting to give up on things, now build flourishing brands or be speakers. And I'm proud of us as a collective. And I think it's, as long as we all keep singing from the same hymn sheet and pushing forward, it's an exciting time. And I'm really proud that what I had to say and have to say is clearly being well received amongst the public as well as the profession, and that does make me feel proud.
Yeah, and rightly so. So what next? What are your aspirations from a professional perspective?
As much as I love clinic, I really enjoy the work I do within the industry and with others. I love teaching and educating and inspiring. I'm really excited about the developments and the way in which the industry is evolving. I'd like to be more involved with product development, design, technology, innovation. I think these things are really exciting and something that I do get to be involved in, and obviously sign a million NDAs. But that sort of thing is fun. And I think ultimately as well, how can I continue to grow my mission statement, which is to carry on improving access and changing the way we deliver. So there's only one of me, and I now want to find ways in which I can create a London Hygienist team.
So on the assumption that you may have a little bit of spare time, it sounds like you probably don't actually. So what do you do outside dentistry? Because I think it's really important, isn't it, to have a life outside dentistry and do different things. So what do you do, or what do you do to de-stress?
I completely agree with you. For a long time, it was getting to that point where it was eat, sleep, teeth, repeat. And I was like, I need a hobby. I don't have children. I don't have a partner. I don't have a pet. So I needed a hobby. And I took up playing poker.
Wow. Different to dentistry.
Yeah. But you know what? There's something about the hyper focus of playing. You know, I don't think about anything else. And it's helped me get myself out of my comfort zone, because it is quite a male dominated game. And I've put myself in a room full of men and held my own. And I've also joined a really nice ladies poker club as well. So it's been really interesting just to have a life outside of my friends and my dental circle. And it's maybe I'll go pro one day, who knows?
But I think it is really good to do something completely different.
It's good. I think it's really important that if you are sort of struggling, it doesn't matter what it is, just take something up that means you're using different parts of your brain.
Yeah, no, I agree. Absolutely. And I think you meet different people, and yeah, it's keeping your brain active, but just do something different. So finally, your final question, what 3 things would you like to take with you to a desert island? As a hygienist and a therapist, I will allow you your toothbrush and toothpaste and your floss or your TPs. But what other 3 things would you take?
Anyone who knows me knows I never go anywhere without my lip balm. Yeah, that is a non-negotiable. I start every day and end every day and go everywhere with music. So I'd like to take my Spotify subscription with me, please.
Okay.
So I can have my music and maybe some podcasts. And lastly, my Nespresso coffee machine with unlimited, never-ending pods.
Well, it sounds like you're sorted for the day, actually. So thank you so much for your time. It's been an absolute pleasure to talk to you. I've loved chatting to you. And with that, we've come to the end of our podcast. So I've been your host, Lesley Harrison, and thank you so much for listening.